Hey Marcus, how are you? I hope you're doing well.
Hi, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Yep, I'm doing very well. I'm doing absolutely fine actually. Um, so before we like get in the main conversation, let's get a background about you. So who is Marcus? A little bit about what you have built, or what you are building right now, and like a little introduction of yourself.
Okay, so my name is Markus Biel. I'm 43 years old. I have a wife and two super beautiful boys, 2 and 4 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah, I live in Munich, Germany. I'm a Java developer from my profession, from my background. And since 2020, I'm working on MailDropper, an email marketing tool, specifically for bootstrapping companies, and SaaS founders. Yeah. We have, I don't know, roughly, I would say below 1,000 customers. We have roughly like below 100 paying customers. Um, yeah, we focus a lot on simplicity.
Mhm.
Yeah, focus a lot on simplicity. That is really for me was always important because I don't know. Actually, I have ADHD, so I really suffer from complexity, and I guess that's one of the reasons why, for me, always personally, it was always important that things are simple, clear, straightforward. That's how I was focusing on as a Java developer. Before I also was establishing a brand of myself as a Java clean coder. And that also is like the main goal with MailDropper. I want that you sign up, you understand everything, you get ready in like minutes. You don't need a PhD to understand what this tool is doing, and you're ready in minutes. That's really our main goal. Yeah.
So actually, I do see like on Twitter, especially a lot of founders who have ADHD. So like for some users who for some I'm sorry listeners who might not know what ADHD is, just give a small little like review on what ADHD is and what it kind of looks like, because a lot of people are, I think, affected by it these days.
Yeah. So actually, I think as you said, many are affected from that and don't even know. So I found out like a bit over 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So I found out when I was still employed at the time, and I was attending a meeting that was kind of a bit boring. It didn't have really, from my perspective at least, a really like a goal. It was just a high level blah 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 meeting kind of, as you might have seen such meetings. And I was tired at the day, I also have to say, that came on top. And as a result, I was constantly, like, seriously falling asleep in the meeting. Like, my eyes were really, like, shutting down, and I was really, like, I had to sleep for a few milliseconds or seconds. And my boss, as well as the boss of my boss, noticed. And they looked quite angry because it was like an important meeting with important people present. Yeah, so I felt like really stressed. You should not fall asleep right now. There is eyes on you, but I couldn't help it. I was falling asleep because couldn't focus the concentration. So I fixed that thing back then by, I just kept going to the toilet, pretending I had to go to the toilet, where I was just pushing cold water into my face to stay awake and to get a break from this blah blah blah. But that for me was like the trigger to say I should consult a doctor and see is something wrong with me, because I was like, that shouldn't happen. Even if I'm tired, I should be able to stay awake. And they did some tests and found out, yes, you have ADHD. I can't say suffer because it's not an illness. It's just
Mhm.
your brain functions differently. It's actually
Yeah.
also it's also a superpower. So it comes with a lot of perks. So and that's maybe also why I am a founder, and that's probably why many of us are founders and also a developer. So I was a very successful developer before because I can focus when I can focus, which only works on under certain conditions. Like way
For sure.
better, I can hyper focus. I see details that no one else sees, and that as I said before, simplicity. I see so many details that others just ignore. But yeah, but on the other hand, I have to be, in a certain mood. It has to be interesting. The topic has to be interesting to me. So if a topic gets boring, my brain decides, that is boring. Then you get zero, I think it's endorphins or what it's called. I'm not a doctor. So anyway, the chemicals, they work differently. And for a normal, not HD person, yeah, you always have enough of that stuff and you're fine. But if you have ADHD, it has to be really super interesting. And if it's not, then you fall asleep, you can't focus. And yeah, so also I like always to change because that way it keeps interesting. That's also when I was employed, I kept switching jobs because it got too boring for me. And I found out, like, even when I'm going to a restaurant or bar, after like half an hour, it gets too boring to me. So I introduced with my friends. I was making bar tours for them because that way it was way more interesting for me, and I enjoyed the evening much more. So HDHD for others, so people experiencing people having HD can be really stressful because yeah, when you proceed, you are going like in a super speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just can't control your pace. That's part of HDHD. So you have like superpower, super speed, but you're not always necessarily going in the right direction, right? So you have to just ensure you're focused on the right thing, and then full power, you're like Superman. But like if you like by accident cannot, then you might go in the wrong direction. I don't know if that helps to understand what HDHD is or
For
is
sure.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people uh, maybe have started experiencing it, like in the past decade or something, because uh, I mean, I think I saw this example somewhere. On when you, for example, go on YouTube, how long can you stay on a video before you switch to the other one? So that's something which a lot of people experience, I think, these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Also for me, the same, like
Yeah,
if it's just boring, then, I just can't focus and I just skip, next. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Awesome. So, what is MailDropper? What is, in simple terms, what are you building right now?
So MailDropper is an email marketing SaaS.
Mhm.
And like, so what is it right now? Um, it's yeah, it's a tool how you can, like, it's the opposite of cold email. It's you can build up several forms for your site without any coding required. You can integrate them into your website. That way you can collect subscribers, people signing up for example, your newsletter.
Yep.
And then inside the system, you can build, for example, you can customize the whole system. Like you can decide, I want not only the first name, last name, I also want to have, for example, the birth date, the favorite color, whatsoever. So you can collect the data that you need for running your business. And then you can also like tag subscribers based on interests, or like you send out a newsletter and then people click on a link. That way, that's part of the email automation. That way you can tag the people so that that person clicked on a link. So obviously, like let's say you're running a surf school and you're offering a beginner course, an advanced course, and an expert course. Now, if someone clicks on the expert course link, then most probably this person is interested in that course, right? So you can use that to then segment your audience and then, for example, send out a newsletter specifically for the experts. And that way improve your conversion rate, right? Because like
Hmm.
if you have, let's say, 10K people on your list, but you're just, very, very, your whole marketing text, your whole emails are always like, whoever wants to do this or that, then no one is really interested, right? But if you target this
Yeah.
down to a very, very specific aspect, like you're saying, I see you are interested in this expert course and we have the special deal for you today, then the chance of success, of course, is much higher. So that's one of the things you can do with MailDropper. there is like for the email automation part, we're still currently working on extending that a lot to have a full visual automation builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we already have like lots of features. Also, like the tool is GDPR compatible because as I said initially, I'm from Munich, Germany, so that's actually a law requirement. And yeah, for many companies from Europe, that's also a law requirement. And that's why I thought I looked at the competitors, many coming from the US, and
Yeah.
they don't give much about GDPR because in the US, regarding data privacy, there's basically almost no rules, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Now, like one thing related to the GDPR part before we like talk about mail dropper. So in Europe, why is it that the laws regarding data privacy are so stringent? I mean, it's a good thing to do. It's a very important thing to do. But like Europe, I think they banned Bard right now. So Google's Bard that they launched. So why are they so strict regarding
Well,
this?
first of all, I'm not so sure that they banned BART. I think that just Google made a decision to not launch it in Europe yet, but they might still
I
do.
might be wrong. Yeah.
But again, I'm also not 100% sure, but that is just my current information. But it's like I heard that Italy has banned GPT.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's what I heard. So yes, I mean Europe is very strict, and why is it so? Well, I can't say for sure. I can say that I guess if you want to look for a guilty one, then it's probably Germany because like in Germany, we always had very strict data protection rules. And Germany, I guess, being in the center and being one of the economically strongest countries, almost
Countries. Countries.
countries in Europe, I think had strong influence on convincing the others to take over that model. So I think pretty much it's 99% what we already had in Germany, but now
Yeah.
before it was just there. It was never really enforced. Now it's much more strict because it's also actually enforced. At least that's what I hear. And why? I mean, from the one
Yeah.
perspective, data protection, I think, is as you also said, is a very, very good thing. And it helps us against like the let's say evil companies,
Yeah.
the big ones. I was going to say a name, but let's not.
Yeah.
Everyone who can decide themselves what is an evil company or not. But I guess you get the idea. It's about the big ones, right? That collect all our data and then do the evil things. No one likes to be tracked down to the very last bit. But now comes the sad part for us bootstrapping companies, small companies, small businesses. This is really like hell because it's
For sure.
super, like it's already challenging, more than challenging enough to bootstrap your own company, and you want to of course focus on your business. But on top, then to have to focus on the very strict rules of the GDPR, yeah, is like similar to oh, let's give up. Let's just not try at all. Yeah. So in this aspect, I hope that implementing that in MailDropper, takes away that burden from the company. Do not even on top have to focus on all the GDPR rules. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so and I personally I hate it because it also bites me. And clicking all these cookie warners, I think it hasn't changed anything. So the big evil companies, they still do the thing that they did before. Just now you have a billion cookie warners, and then they on the cookie warner it says, okay, if you entered the site, we will steal all your data, we will do all the evil things. Are you okay with that? Yes, then you can continue. Otherwise, bye bye. And since people want to use all these services, yeah, I think not much has changed. But for the small businesses, and I see even for the offline businesses here in Europe, when you join a social sports club, they give you a large form that you have to sign that you are okay with, just storing your data, and then it just gets crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to clarify on the Google part, so what Google actually said, and I think yeah, I'm like I just looked it up right now. So Google has said that it's working on it's working to comply with the GDPR for Bard, and once it's done, it will be available in the European Union countries. That's what
Yeah,
Google
that's what
said.
I guess. So they're just taking in some extra iterations to not have the risk of being banned. So they want to tackle
Yeah,
that risk in advance. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because when you're banned, it's really much harder to get out of that, I guess.
yeah. Now, talking about mail droppers, while I was like researching a little bit of what the product is and what it does, I found a couple of competitors to pretty big companies per se. So, what do you think is like you are competing with companies which are way bigger than a bootstrap uh, founder? So, how do you think? What do you think is the best way, and how can you compete with such large corporations because they have a lot of capital unlike you, and they have a lot of uh, manpower unlike you. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think I can tackle, or I do tackle that from two sides. So first of all, regarding the manpower,
Hmm.
from my own perspective as a Java backend developer, and I have actually 22 years of experience, and
Hmm.
we spoke about that initially, I have my superpower of HDHD.
Yeah.
So I'm really a fast developer. I'm a very experienced developer. And since I'm bootstrapping, I'm a super lean, super simple, company without all the meetings, with all the overhead of having a manager that manages a manager that manages another manager, and so on. I would just say my own manpower compares to 10, if not even 100 developers in a big enterprise corporation. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also at the site working for clients, so I can see what
Hmm.
they can accomplish with large teams and what we accomplished in a similar time with MailDropper. So first of all, we have lots of more speed because of the lean, agile, simple bootstrapping approach, and I could talk more about that. We also don't need all the features, right? So we are specifically focusing on companies, people like ourselves. So like 1 person, 2 person businesses that are also bootstrapping, and they. So when you're on that path, you have little time. For example, you're working a lot at nights. At least that's also what I do.
Yeah.
And so you don't have the time to read through, 200 pages manual. You just want to get started really quick, and you're just getting started. So you just want, to have your newsletter ready. You want to be able to contact your subscribers as fast as possible. So we focus on that aspect. And there are more advanced tools, but they're also targeting, for example, email marketing agencies that would have, like, let's say, hundreds of thousands of subscribers that would need very advanced filters. Yeah, so I hope that these two
Yeah.
aspects answer your question.
Yeah. They did pretty well. So the main advantage which like small companies or small startups have against big corporations is speed. So like you said, there are managers on top of managers on top of managers, etc., which slows down the development process. Uh, Whereas in a small corporation or in a small startup, they don't have to go through hundreds or if not like tens of meetings to get something approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now, like we see with like OpenAI and all these companies, uh, even though they are kind of like big corporations, but the rate of innovation is incredibly high. So, how do you think can a corporation compete? Not necessarily compete, but be at par with them. That's the right way to put it.
Well, so speaking of MailDropper, I can say that at the moment we have, like, I don't know, let's say 70 to 80% of the features of our competitors. So some are
Yeah.
missing, which is why Our pricing is like very competitive. I think I checked like many of the competitors, and I would say that we are at the moment the most affordable email marketing tool, which again, plays forward for small starting bootstrapping companies that don't have the
For
budget
sure.
of a few $100s per month or whatever. That's one advantage that you get. And then the other advantage is you get me, and I mean that's serious. I mean that, for example, for the customers we have now, I really treat each and every customer like royalty.
Mm-hmm.
They very often, I really get an email because they would approach me, for example, on Twitter. They sent me, I need this, I need that, and I
Yeah.
will do my best uh, to help them 24/7. Like just this weekend, I was on a hike with my family, and we didn't have
Mm-hmm.
internet for 24 hours. In that time, there was something happening. A client had an issue, wrote me a direct message on Twitter. So it took me 24 hours on a weekend, right? It was Sunday to reply to him. So this was so normally I'm trying to say, it would take at most 8 hours when I'm just started to sleep when you reach out to me.
Yeah.
But usually I will reply in like 10 minutes and will do all my best to help you out. And that is something, if you're starting out and, again, you are short in time and you just want to get this thing started, we will make sure that it will work for you. We will, go the extra mile. And tell me a company where you have direct access to the CTO or a CEO. Yeah, so I think that really is something that my
Yeah.
customers appreciate a lot.
For sure. Do you think that uh, as you kind of grow, as the company grows, you will onboard more people, and if you do that, then how will you maintain the same customer experience per se?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would try not to. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, hiring someone is always like the last rescue. So
Yeah.
I I mean, I was also approached by these angel investors. Here, take that, and I'm not interested because
Yeah.
I'm not interested in making billions or whatever. I'm really focusing on my freedom and just doing what I enjoy. That is actually developing a system. So that is what makes me happy, and that's what I focus on. And so, um, yeah, of course, at some point you have to scale. I mean, also right now I'm not alone. I have some freelancers working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really, really still nice and simple. And I think, you know, we can stay with that approach quite long. At the moment, we're working on a very complex, very nice. I mean, not complex as in complex, but very, let's say, powerful email automation flow
Mm-hmm.
that like really can nicely compete to the big other competitors that we have. But we didn't need a team of 100 developers to implement that. In fact, at the beginning when GPT came out, I was really like, oh, what's that? I was really not a fan of that, but I tried it and now I'm in love with GPT. I have a subscription with GPT-4 and it helped me to implement big parts of the email automation workflow that we will soon publish. So that also is a way how you can scale. This is like the personal assistant that I have, but it's still it's there when I need it, but it doesn't come with all the personal issues that come up when the team grows and we're all humans.
Yeah. I mean, talking about GPT, do you think like you have a lot of experience with in the tech industry? So do you think that GPT and the like advancements in AI, will they be able to replace software engineers or programmers in general?
I would say yes and no. So first of all, I will say no.
Mm-hmm.
No, but here it really depends what is a software engineer, right?
Yeah.
For me, a software engineer is, and that's the part that I enjoy doing, is the creative part. It's the part of you have a problem, you tell me your problem, we talk together. You explain me your problem. I understand your problem, or if not, I will ask many building questions. And so we have really a communication going on. And then I will start to transfer your problem into a solution. And we'll use all my creativity, my experience, my creativity to solve it in a really smart way, so that it uses little resources, so that it is very extensible, so that so I can extend it in the future. But and that is something that I don't know. You can never say never. Maybe in 100 years or whatever, AI will even be able to do that. But at the moment, it's just based on patterns. So you have to say it exactly what you want it to do. And the more exact you are, the better it will be able to do that. But it still needs that person. It's just a tool at the moment, right? It's not like people, and that's also why I hated it at the beginning, because artificial intelligence, GPT is zero intelligent. It's stupid like a brat. It's just
Yeah.
a tool. Like, would you say a hammer is intelligent? No, it's not. But would you say a
Yeah.
hammer is useless? Also not. So
Hmm.
a hammer is a hammer. You can kick your toe with it and it hurts. You could even kill people with it and it would hurt even more. But you can build a house with a hammer. So GPT is a tool. You can use it for good things. You can use it for evil things. You can do just crazy or stupid stuff with it, but it still needs the person behind the tool, and that's what I call the craftsman, the creative person behind that makes GPT fly. So no, or that's even wrong. That makes you fly. So used as an assistant in the right way, the AI can help you to fly, but it will not fly by itself, at least as of today. And I think it will take long until it would go further than that. So if you're speaking of engineering as development, just coding if else, if else, if else, yes, that can be replaced today or
Yeah.
maybe in a matter of years, right? But
Yeah.
to that really doesn't have much of a value. So if so, I think each of us have to focus more on the intelligent, smart part. Have to focus more on why am I different? How am I different? What is my specialty?
Yeah.
And if you have that, if you have that, then replacing that will be very, very difficult. So I think it would even so the AI will probably in the next years put more pressure on me. Will have more people asking for my help, my assistance, because they need someone that can make the AI fly.
For sure. So it's kind of like you have a personal competitor, like whom you're competing with, and if you don't grow at a pace which is faster than that competitor, then the competitor is like the GPT 4, 5, or whatever comes out, and if you don't exceed its level of innovation or training, then it will or may take your job in the future. Not, I don't think it can do anything near to that in
Yeah, but
like 5 years or anything.
what it can do is what you also kind of said, I think, right now. I think each of us has to use AI to their
For sure.
advantage, because if you don't, then there will be this other person making use of it and they will
Yeah.
totally outrule you. So as I said, I just wrote a very, very complex set of rules for we have right now a filter where you can say, find me create me a segment with all the subscribers that have that first name and that tag and so on. But
Hmm.
in this first version, it was very, very simplified. You could just say, equals. Now, with the new version coming out soon, you will be able to say starts with, ends with, contains, does not equal, and so forth and so on. Others have that too, but I'm sure that the other companies, they had these 100 developers working on that for, let's say, 2 years, while
Yeah.
I implemented that in a matter of a week together with GPT-4. Yeah, and,
For
and
sure.
that speeds me up,
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I see a lot of schools and universities and even companies. Not a lot of them. very few that are banning the use of GPT or Chat GPT, especially for some reason. There's no point to it actually. People always find workarounds, and you should use it to your advantage, and that's the main
Yeah.
thing actually. Awesome. So, what else have you been like? What else are you interested in technology, especially apart from these tools and building mail drop in tech, especially?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I'm now a Java developer of 22 years. So if
Yeah.
someone in the audience is also a Java developer, they might actually know me because I started to, be self-employed in 2050, and I was working on establishing my brand as a Java developer. I did a very well-known Java course online because that's really what I enjoy. I mean, that connects, of course, back to the HDHD part. Like when I'm sitting here at my desk, I'm listening to some silent music that allows me to focus. Um, that is really, sitting there solving a problem, uh, building a really nice, lightweight, simple, pragmatic architecture, solving the given problem in a smart way, um, with less code, with being more performant, more secure. Uh, that really, and talking to customers, and seeing how you solve their problems, that I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy to make the code clean. And so I started with Java in 2001, I think, and
Okay.
that was at the university. I studied computer science, and then the teachers or the professors told us, it's just one programming language. You will do that, and after 2 years, you will do this and this and that. But
Mhm.
I was like, okay, might be. But first of all, I want to master Java. Well, I still haven't mastered it because it's so huge. And even when you think you would have mastered it, there's new stuff approaching. So,
For sure.
and that's also, again, I guess, also related to HDHD because I I have a hard time focusing, but if I have taken on something, I will just not give up, and so I just keep going in that, enjoy it. So yeah, technology for me was always very interesting. I always wanted to work with technology, but that includes also media. So yeah, I was also thinking at some point, like after school, if I should get a journalist. So media in general was interesting for me, and that's maybe because internet is just perfect, right? So you have the media aspect, you have the computer aspect, you have a bit of everything.
Yeah, for sure. Now we'll keep this part short, but this is a personal question. So Java has been, no, I'll not say getting a lot of hate, but a lot of people are talking about that it's getting old now and we should switch to Kotlin or something like that. Do you think that is real, or will that ever happen? It's just a personal question.
uh, well, you can never say never, first of all. But I can see that, first of all, the funny part is that often comes from people developing in JavaScript, and they might not even know that JavaScript is actually even a few months older than Java, from what I know. At least, I mean, how is that? Because JavaScript stole the name JavaScript from Java, so I can't, to be honest, I can't exactly say it, but I think, yeah, I think it started with a different name. That's I think why. But fact is, it's actually older than Java by a few months. So yeah, and there are also programming languages, like C is super old and is still totally in use, right?
Yeah.
So that part, I don't think it will go so fast, and also like it keeps reinventing itself, and what at the moment by some maybe of the younger generation is said to be a disadvantage of like Java being complex. I
Hmm.
don't see they see the light because I would say quite the opposite. That complexity, that part that it makes it difficult to get started with Java, that is actually really a saver, a lifesaver, because Java is a very strict language. It has really strict rules, and that allows you to design a system that is very clean and simple. Because these rules, right? They will move your code into a very clean and simple way. While if you have a language that is flexible with everything, that leads over time to a totally entangled, complex, difficult to understand system. And that will lead to bad performance, will lead to bugs. And with Java, you will, of course, you have bugs, you have all these issues too, but I would say you have less. And yeah, so Java is, after how many years, 25, 26 something years, still always in the top 3, I would say, of the most used programming languages. All the big companies use it, and for what? Not for simple things. Java is used for the big complex problem solving. Google is running on Java, for instance. So it's a really powerful, super fast language that, yeah, you can do anything with it. And yeah, that's just what I like about it.
And
Yeah, and
don't.
then they come and go and come and go and
Yeah.
come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Java has its strong part in the backend. So, for example, with Mailchimp, we use React in the front end, which is
Hmm.
based on JavaScript.
Yeah.
So I think that way we have the best of both worlds. While you can do even UI with Java, I
Mm.
don't do it. I wouldn't do it. But it's a super fast language for the backend, and also super powerful because of all these strict rules. It takes a while to get used to it. It's not the language that you can learn over a lunch or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a time well invested.
Yeah. For sure. That's awesome. So now I'll just ask last two questions. Now one would be like, what, like you are in the email space right now, so you are dealing with emails, and email personally, what I feel, I use it a lot. I've been using it a lot these days, and what I feel that it, compared to the other services, it is kind of stagnating right now. It is kind of old and needs some innovation. So we see tools like Superhuman, all these things which are contributing to uh, innovation or growth of the email services. Do you think there will be complete switch from kind of like emails to using emails as normal, what do you call it, text messages, or like Superhuman?
First of all, it's funny, it's a bit related to your question before about Java. Is Java dead? Again, it's email dead. It's far from that, because well, first of all,
No, it's not like.
Superhuman. Go to the website. How it says get started. How do you get started? I didn't click the link yet, but if I would click it, I'm sure it would say, sign up with your email. Haha. Right? So whatever service you use, you need an email to sign up. That's
Yeah,
always, the lowest layer. Because
yeah,
they
yeah.
haven't invented other such low layer, right? So I don't know what they would invent in the future. Yeah, so can't speak about that.
No,
But speaking of today, there is nothing that is simpler. There is nothing that, like, if you take the whole billions of people in the internet, I'm sure that 99% of them will have an email, right? So with email, you can reach them, and with email, going back to all the social media channels, for example, Twitter. Funny that we were speaking about the risk of the platform risk for years, but when I would tell this, people would be, ha ha ha, risk, it is not a risk. And then there is this guy coming with his super rockets and this super so smart guy, and he's just, with a finger snip, he's just telling goodbye to all the companies that were building their business on Twitter.
yeah,
Because now you have to pay 45K thousand something dollars or so
yeah, yep,
to run your business. So he just said goodbye to thousands of, and that's really sad. So don't get me wrong. But the point is, this is not going to happen with email, because email is decentral. You just need a email server. Anyone can install an email server, and then you can reach anyone in the world. So yeah, it has the least barrier. It has the greatest reach. So email is far from that.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I actually like meant, I did not mean to say that it was dead, but like the experience. Do you think the experience will change over time?
I don't know. I mean, but for me, that's just like a flavor, right? So if you present the email in a long form or a short form, or you make it blank, pink or blue or red or green, it's still an email, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are ways of how you can improve that. Like also just take an email client. So the email clients have gotten better and better over time. Like
For sure.
they can build up the whole thread. So you get an email, you see the whole reference of the conversation that was going on. You can now type a letter and then find search through all your billions of emails that you have. And I'm sure that with AI that will even get better, right? But it will still be that old email that we always had. Yeah. So
Now, actually, my last question would be like, you have built a lot of things. You are building an amazing tool. So what advice would you like to give to all the young like founders, young builders who are just starting out on the journey?
okay. So yeah, thanks for the question. Really appreciate it. That's a good question. I really like answering that. Because there's a lot that I want to give forward to people starting out. So when I started out, that's probably usually how I approach things is, don't try to be smart, just follow others. So that's what I did,
Yeah.
right? I went to meetups, I read books, I listened to podcasts and so on. Um, I think yours in 2015 was not available. Otherwise, of course. So and there I learned things like, for example, I learned you should start with marketing first, right? And I also learned you should not like develop, you should like focus on your business. You should not focus too much on your code. Well, this might generally be right. Um, I learned over the years that I am not everyone's darling. I'm different. I'm a personality. I'm Marcus, and so my brain works different. We talked about that, and I have that song My Way always rings in my ears. I
Yeah.
have to go my way. So I think it requires a mix of both. Just doing your thing, ignoring all the advice is stupid. I wouldn't recommend that. I would definitely recommend to read books and podcasts and so on and so forth. But I would also recommend, take everything with a grain of salt and don't lose your way, right? Because, for example, I have this passion, I have this strengths in coding. And
Yeah.
I started working on systems without coding. I hired someone to code for me. That was a big mistake because that way I lost my superpower of, being a super powerful, good, fast, experienced coder. So you have to take into account your own context. And that's the one thing I want to say. And the other thing is MVP. That's really a thing that I hate so much. Uh, it's a bit like
Yeah.
communism. It's a great idea, but I have hardly ever, I guess never, seen it working in practice because what is MVP? At the moment, everyone, this is like a totally hyped word. Everyone loves talking about the MVP. So let's tackle this a bit more in detail. What does it actually mean? I think few people even understand what it means. It's the
Yeah.
minimum viable, I hope I get this right now, product. And that
Yeah.
means I mean, being a German, a non-native, I had to look this up and think about this a bit in detail. So it means to have like the minimum possible product that brings
Yep.
value to a customer. That's the one important thing. So it's
Yep.
not just but what I see in the wild 99% of the time is MVP is like the shittiest product that you could release in the shortest
For
time.
sure.
Yeah, and then this
For
is
sure.
just shit. No one is going to buy that. This is not bringing you success. And the second problem that I have with the MVP is that viable. What actually is viable? When you're
Yeah.
starting out, that viable is the whole essence of your business. And you will, at least I didn't get it right. Like I started with mail dropper and I thought like, okay, let's do this as an MVP. So I thought starting out, I was just, I was trying to find the unicorn. I didn't find it. So I was like, let's just take an idea that already worked for others. That's how I came to email marketing because I know, email marketing works. So I was approaching it just from that angle. So I was then, what is email marketing? And email in email marketing is quite prominent, I guess.
Yeah.
So I thought it's about sending emails. So my first version that I released quite quickly was a tool that was able to send hundreds of thousands of emails very efficiently at a super cheap price. And yes, I had quite a few customers in quite short time. The tool, to repeat this, what it was really good in was sending lots of emails for a very cheap price. And that was basically it, right? Just sending emails. So the marketing part was a bit missing. And that's why the initial customers that I got were spammers. Ew. So that really hurt me. So I had to really I was going in emergency mode. So I was very quickly thinking, how can I fix this in the shortest possible time? I increased the prices, like tripled the prices to protect me, because I thought, if they will find a competitor that is cheaper, a spammer will always go for the price. They will go to them. Second, I reduced the number of subscribers that I would offer, because I reduced it at the time, that was 2-3 years ago, to only 20,000 subscribers, because I thought the average customer should be fine with 20,000 subscribers, but the spammer is more interested in sending 50, 100, or even a million of emails, right? So these were my first precautions to get rid of the spammers. And then over time, I was implementing a system, some kind of, today we would say an AI, that would analyze if you are more of a spammer or if you're actually a good customer, right? So I'm trying to say the whole MVP idea, to get back to that, brought me into the totally wrong direction. Now I understand this much better. Now, if I would again say, email marketing, what's the MVP? Well, the marketing part. So, marketing, why do we do marketing? We want to help people to make money. So if you build a tool that helps people making money, that helps people making efficiently marketing, that is something that the right customers will buy. But if you just if you think that the MVP was just sending emails, there is a million tools that can do this as well. So you can only compete on the price, which I did, and then you get the wrong customers. So forget about the MVP, focus more on building a great product. And please forget about the MVP. I think 99% people will get it wrong anyway. Thanks.
Sure. I see it a lot. The MVP, the startup community kind of has created a conception that the MVP has to be the worst possible product ever, but in reality it has to be the product with the least amount of features which can add value to the user's life. And it should, be, in my opinion, it should be good, because no one will use your worst product that you'll ever launch. They will use the one with the minimum features which provides values to them.
Exactly. And I think the ability to see what is that, you will only be able to do that in retrospect. So if I would restart over, start from scratch, now I would be able to do that. But why would I do that now if I already have MailDropper, right? I wouldn't. And that's why I'm saying the theory, the idea of this ability is great. So if you are able, right? It always depends. Different people, are different. So if you're able to find that niche, if you're able to, that it's great. I'm just saying that getting this right is like super, super, super difficult. The probability that you get it wrong is super, super high. And that's why it might make much more sense to tackle the whole thing from a different angle, to focus on, I want to make a great product, whatever great and my pace, with my personality, with my style, my way means.
100%. Absolutely. Awesome. This was a great one, actually.
Thank you.
I'm afraid I don't have anything else to ask right now. But if you would like to say anything, just please go ahead.
So what else can I say? So I would be happy if people have a look on maildropper.com, try out the product, send me an email, or send me a direct message on Twitter. Really, also, I love Twitter. I'm super happy to help you out getting started. And just send me a message. Let's chat. I'm also happy to just chat, get to know people, exchange experiences. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It was a great one.